What's going on, guys? This is the Adonis, Stevenson, Andrzej Fonfara, Roman numeral 2 review show. But rather than focusing on a fight that lasted about as long as as myself, the first time I ever had sexual relations, I'm going to just do more like an analysis of where Adonis Stevenson is at 39 years old and where he is in as far as relevancy in the light heavyweight division, which has some key players and has some, underwhelming opponents, which I thought Fonfara last night was not worthy of that. Now, having said that, it's not because Fonfara is not a good fighter. It's because I do believe that Adonis Stevenson is legitimately elite. Now, that doesn't mean that he should be mentioned as the 1, 2, or maybe even 3 best in the division because other guys have been more relevant, proven, but it means that he has proven that left hand is vicious and violent. But if you go back and look at what has Adonis Stevenson done since his incredible 2013, which included 4 wins, Darnell Boone knockout, which he it's not a big name, but obviously Darnell Boone is the guy who upset a bunch of guys, but he was revenging that loss, his only loss of his career, which was a knockout defeat. So Darnell Boone knockout. Then he knocked out Chad Dawson in the first round, which was the knockout of the year. Then he destroyed Tavoris Cloud. And then, retrospectively speaking, his 6th round destruction of Tony Bellew is looking better and better as Tony Bellew moves up to weights and has some success, right? So after that incredible year, he beat Fonfara in a fight that was closer than it should have been, but it was a solid win, good win. Then it comes downhill from there, where he faced Dimitri, don't even know how to pronounce his last name, a dude who lost 2 unanimous decisions, one to Yerming Bramer, one to Cornelius White. And then after his defeat to, in other words, he shouldn't have been in the ring. That's the first guy who shouldn't have been in the ring. The second guy who shouldn't have been in the ring with Adonis Stevenson is Sakio Bika, who is a much smaller fighter, moving up weight classes. Then he beat the infamous Tommy Carpensi, male stripper. Then Thomas Williams Jr. coming off a big win, but a war against Edwin Rodriguez, a fight in which he was dropped and hurt. And then he unnecessarily, almost a year later, gets Andrzej Fonfara, who most notably, since his defeat to Adonis Stevenson back in 2014, had that impressive knockout win against Chavez Jr. Then, of course, beat Nathan Cleverly, but then was upset by the hard-hitting journeyman, or I wouldn't say journeyman, I would say breakout fighter, breakout regional fighter in Joe Smith Jr., who obviously is being mentioned up in there to get fights with the best because he of course knocked out Bernard Hopkins and it sent him through the ropes. So that's an impressive win. But my thing is that Adonis Stevenson, at 39 years old, has become irrelevant as far as becoming mainstream. That's as far as popularity. As far as projecting himself near the best in the sport, with the pound-for-pound rankings. And that's largely because Kovalev and Ward, regardless of what happened, he said, she said, Kovalev pulled out, Adonis pulled out, they should have fought. It's unfortunate they didn't fight. The fact is that those guys clearly are the elite of the division because they've been doing the most lately. Obviously, in fighting each other in a fight that was close enough that it warranted a rematch because obviously controversial victory for Andre Ward. So I know Adonis Stevenson believes he's the king, but it's just it's almost like nobody's listening because you don't really have any pull over either one of those guys who come up victorious later this month. And I think that he does have a chance to beat those guys because of his left hand and because of his athleticism. I would favor both Ward and Kovalev to beat Adonis, but I just would really like to see Adonis in a relevant fight. And if he's not fighting notable opponents, he should not take another year between beating beating somebody like Thomas Williams Jr. and then fighting Andrzej Fonfara for the second time in an unnecessary rematch. So overall, I would say that Adonis Stevenson did what he had to do on Saturday. I think that him claiming he's the king is a bit, it's almost like an echo chamber, because the only person that really cares is himself. So I just would like to see, in a perfect world, Adonis Stevenson, who actually I really do respect the skill. I would just like to see him mix it up with some of the guys. Even somebody like Alvarez, who had a win. Obviously Ward and Kovalev, and someone like Beterbiev. I just want to see him face somebody who's top 5 in the weight class. Because if you're going to hold that WBC belt and claim you're the king, you need to fight a top 5 guy. Point blank, period. No excuses, no bullshit. He's almost like, to me, he's almost like becoming like the Chris John of today, because although he's not fighting in a country, he's fighting in Canada. It's not like he's fighting in elsewhere. It's just to us and to me and to the boxing fans, he's almost becoming irrelevant because of his lack of exposure, his lack of competition as of late. It's just as disappointing that that boxers and potential stars like Adonis Stevenson don't capitalize upon an impressive year, because we would be talking about Adonis Stevenson possibly in the Hall of Fame if he would take that impressive year and connect some more victories upon that. And instead we have this guy who, a lot of people in the boxing world kind of think he's, somewhat of a punchline and a joke. All right, guys, thank you guys for listening. Please like and subscribe. I'll put more videos up soon and later.